Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. We don't need to be broadcasting me. This is just informal.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Brendan. I'm the cultural representative and cultural educator from Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council in Sydney. And our role as Aboriginal Land Council under the Land Rights Act, we are the cultural authority and the guardians and custodians of land within our boundaries. I was just sitting there thinking about that word, reconciliation. And having a quick look through the book full of lovely art. And I remember as a child, when I was in high school, and I've still got the book at home. It's a history book. And that history book had a picture on the front cover of Captain Cook landing and planting the flag. And behind him was bush. And when I looked through into the bush, I could see white eyes in the bush peering out. And I used to wonder, well, who are these people hiding in the bush? And so that was the level of history on Aboriginal people when I was in high school. That was all we were taught. And so to see young people now getting that better insight and that education into Aboriginal people and in some cases learning language as well, it absolutely blows me away, and I feel as though that is a part of that reconciliation, that word reconciliation. My history and who I am, I was born not far from here at Crown Street Women's Hospital at Surrey Hills in 1971. And that's the last time that I ever felt my mother's touch in that hospital. So I was taken from mum as a baby. I never saw her again. 7 years ago, I found her grave. And 7 years ago, I found that I'm one of 10 siblings that have been taken as well. And not only that, I'm the second generation of my family that's been taken. So my mother and aunties and uncles are all taken as well. And this is just a very brief history on country, but again, for me, that word reconciliation, it comes on so many levels, reconciliation. And at first, when it first came out, that word reconciliation, for me, it didn't make a difference. It was just another word. I've lived through Sorry Day. I've lived through Reconciliation Week. We have our NAIDOCs are good because you get to meet family and food. But not much has changed for Aboriginal people. We're still the highest rate of removal for our children. We have third world conditions in this country. There are communities that don't have water and electricity. Our health rate is way below the non-Indigenous health rate. Our access to services and health services especially. So we've still got a long way to go. But as I mentioned earlier, to look through this art book and to see all the work that the kids have done, in my time, it never have happened. So I congratulate everyone that's taken a part and been a part of this, because that word reconciliation, it is a journey. It's ongoing. And what I see is the young people now is the start of that journey. So I congratulate everyone for the work they've done. Today I'm here to welcome you to country, and the country we're gathered on belong to the Gadigal people. Gadigal people are one of 29 tribes that make up the Eora Nation, and the boundaries for the Eora Nation start from the ocean, and they're surrounded by three. They want to come in? Bring them in. Get in here, hurry up and sit here. Hurry up. The boundaries for the Eora Nation start from the ocean, and they're surrounded by three of Australia's most beautiful rivers. We have the Hawkesbury River, the Nepean River, and the Georges River. And in between those three mighty and beautiful rivers are 29 tribes, which make up the Eora Nation, and the name of the tribe we're gathered on here today is Gadigal. Unfortunately, the land councils, our Aboriginal land councils, we are the guardians and custodians and not traditional owners, because there are no traditional owners left within Sydney area. They've been wiped off the face of the earth. So what I'd like to do, always first and foremost, on behalf of the Gadigal ancestors, because their spirit is still in the land and the waters, on behalf of Metropolitan Aboriginal Land Council as the cultural authority on these lands, on behalf of our board and our members, it gives me great honour to welcome everyone here today. Welcome to Gadigal country. Just before I leave, I noticed the connection between saltwater and freshwater. 7 months ago, I found my father for the first time. My mother's country, we come from Lake Victoria, we're freshwater people. Love the freshwater. Eat everything out of that freshwater. But I've also loved the saltwater, and I eat everything out of that saltwater as well. My freshwater family used to say to me, how can you eat that rubbish? How can you eat oysters and prawns? I said, I don't know, I love it. Well, 7 months ago, as I said, I found my father. And my father and his people come from Norway. So I'm half freshwater on mother's side, and I'm half Viking. You've got the saltwater on the other side. And so, again, it's a bit ironic I'm here today and you're talking about that saltwater-freshwater connection. There's a little black eel. This little black eel swims all the way from the river of the Parramatta River. And that little black eel swims all the way out into the ocean, and he goes all the way across to Vanuatu. And that little black eel swims all the way back up the river. And that's one of our big song lines, is that little black eel. The head of that little black eel is known as Meow or Goat Island. So there's a good connection of saltwater and freshwater. So once again, ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls, welcome to Gadigal country. And congratulations all of you for getting in and doing such a brilliant job. Welcome and thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone who's here at the Australian Museum this afternoon and who has joined us online for this very special afternoon, the 2022 Schools Reconciliation Challenge event, and learning about it, but also acknowledging those very successful young people who are getting prizes today, which is wonderful. My name is Kim McKay. I'm the Director and CEO of the Australian Museum, and it really is my honour to welcome you here today. Brendan, did Brendan just leave us? He's just gone outside. What a wonderful welcome to country Brendan gave us, an acknowledgement of country. This is Gadigal land, and I too like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge this was land that was never ceded. A lot of those emerging leaders work here at the Australian Museum, I'm very pleased to say. Some of them are with us this afternoon as well, and they're really spearheading a lot of reconciliation activity at the museum. We're very happy to host this year's event, welcoming you back after many years, I think. This big screen, isn't it the biggest screen you've ever seen? Yeah, it's been, so we're going to see some of the wonderful prize winners' work up on the screen this afternoon, and to share your messages, our young people's messages of reconciliation, to showcase the artworks and stories inspired by this theme from river to sea, our island home. If you get a chance, actually, a bit later, go upstairs to Burra. Burra means eel, and of course the eel traverses saltwater, born in saltwater, ends up in freshwater here in Sydney Harbour and going up towards Parramatta. You all know the Parramatta Eels football team, of course, because that was really Burramatta in the traditional language. So it's a beautiful space upstairs that also provides that gorgeous connection between saltwater and freshwater. We're currently here at the Australian Museum embarking on our next Reconciliation Action Plan, and are happy to continue to support the work of Reconciliation Australia. It's just great, the work you're doing. Laura McBride, our Director of First Nations, intended to be here today, but unfortunately she's been unwell. But she chaired the 2021 Australian Reconciliation Convention Repatriations and Cultural Strength session run by Reconciliation Australia. And we're doing a lot in that regard. Obviously, we're a colonial institution that over the years collected many things from right around Australia. We have a lot of First Nations ancestors' remains in our collection, which is very sad. But we're, with the support of the New South Wales Government, and I note Minister Franklin arrived during this time, who is not just the Arts Minister, but also the Aboriginal Affairs Minister. Thank you, Minister Franklin, for being here. And through the work of Minister Franklin, we've been able to gain funding to enhance that reconciliation process and the repatriation of ancestral remains, which is so important. So we thank you a lot for that. We are committed here to being a cultural leader and advocate for First Nations history and people. And part of this commitment, as I said, has identified not just ancestral remains, but also a lot of objects which can be repatriated back to country as well. And also we try and build self-determining models across the museum to engage with First Nations communities. I think the best example of that, if any of you saw it, was Unsettled, which was the groundbreaking and award-winning exhibition we did last year. And if you didn't see Unsettled, which was about truth-telling in a whole new way, please go online. It exists as an online exhibition, so it can be visited by anyone at any time. And it's a really important exhibition of telling that truth about what happened here in Australia. Just like Brendan said, when I went to school, I didn't learn that history at all. And it's fantastic now that it is part of the curriculum in New South Wales schools and across Australia. It's so important that we all grow up with an understanding of our truth, the truth in our history. I'd like to introduce now to you Annie Tennant, the non-Indigenous co-chair of Reconciliation New South Wales, who's developed and nurtured all the relationships and the projects that celebrate country, and is currently, fantastically, I didn't know this, Annie, about you, that you're the Director of Design and Place for Placemaking New South Wales at the Department of Planning, Industry and the Environment, along with Natalie Smith, the Indigenous Board Member of Reconciliation New South Wales, who's with us today. Natalie is a proud Wiradjuri woman, hailing originally from Condobolin. We've just been talking about Condo and connections there, and also now from Orange, New South Wales, and the Director for Aboriginal Outcomes for the New South Wales Department of Customer Service, which is pretty important. So we've got all these great connections with government support happening here today. Nat also advocates for the importance of Aboriginal people having a voice in culturally responsive service design, program implementation and the evaluation process, and she's overseen a number of place-based Aboriginal-led co-design projects. So these two incredible women are with us today. It's great to see you leading at Reconciliation Australia and in New South Wales and delivering better outcomes for everybody. So enjoy the Australian Museum. We've got our beautiful First Nations galleries just alongside us here, Garragarang Sea Country and Byalanura Yarning Country, and a lot else to explore as well, both here and online. So welcome everyone and enjoy and celebrate this special afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such a generous welcome. It was so kind of you. Minister, good afternoon, and thank you everyone for attending today's 2022 From River to Sea, Our Island Home Schools Reconciliation Challenge exhibition launch. Such beautiful faces to see in the crowd, and it's so exciting that we're here in person. So you heard my name, I'm Annie. And you can have a chat to me afterwards. You can have a chat to Nat. We're all here to talk to you about how we can further the efforts of reconciliation, particularly with our future, our young people. So this afternoon here on Gadigal country at the Australian Museum, we're here to celebrate the outstanding art and writing of students across New South Wales and the ACT in this year's Schools Reconciliation Challenge. I would sincerely like to thank Brendan from Metro Lalk for his fantastic welcome. It's always good to hear from him. And also thank you, Kim, and the Australian Museum for partnering with us on this wonderful event. So this year's theme that you can see behind me, and I should have matched myself to that. You'll note that Nat did. I'm more like the logo today. It's provided our students across New South Wales and the ACT the opportunity to discover and celebrate the ancient knowledge of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their relationships with water. You've heard about salt water, fresh water. I don't know if you ever think about whether you are saltwater or freshwater. It's something I think about quite a lot actually, because I too feel a connection to both. And using this inspiration, students have created artworks, poems and stories that highlight the significance of water to First Nations peoples and the importance of reconciliation. I would now like to welcome Tim Bishop, Brock Tutt and Yaran Doyle to the stage to perform for us. Please welcome them.
You should see that little guy perform. Good afternoon. How is everyone? Good? Awesome. Great. Live audience. How awesome is that? Hi, I'm Tim. I'm a Wurrawara descendant. I'd like to acknowledge the country where we are. We're on Gadigal people's country. I'd like to acknowledge all elders past and present. And thanks for coming while you're here. Look after country. Country will look after you, and travel home safely. With me is Mr. Brock Tutt. He's a Yuin Gunai Kunai gentleman, and my far left, on your right, is Mr. Yaran Doyle, and he's also a Wurrawara descendant. And Wurrawara is kind of like, if you go to Dubbo, you're kind of like halfway, so keep going that direction, just north of Burke and Brewarrina. Anyway, we're going to do 3 songs for you today. I'll be singing, Brock will be playing Yidaki, and Yaran's going to be dancing. We'll do a welcome song, and we'll do a spirit song, and then we'll do a crow song. Okay, let's get it rolling, eh? Oh, gotta go. Woo! Song go. Woo! Camera go. Woo! Dog. Woo! Camera! Gamanial taleno rangon, Gongong 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 Gamanial taleno rangon. Jamika Chakalanial, Panya 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 Jamika Chakalanial. So in Sydney Aboriginal language, a mixture of, because we're on Darug country, Darug and Darawal Aboriginal languages in the Sydney Basin, Ungungamanial, Talinarangun, Panijaminka, Tialkalanial. We extend our hand in friendship and we accept you in as family. So we're taking sort of custodial responsibility for you. So that means that you have a place, and that also means that you're responsible for looking after yourselves and also looking after country. Okay, cool. Next song. Can everyone say Guin? Okay, Guin's a spirit, and it's kind of like a cheeky spirit. Be careful, the spirit will kind of like sneak up on you. It's one of those ones where you're going for a walk in the bush and it's like, is there something like behind me? It might be one of those Guin spirits, and it's not a bad intention spirit. It's one of those ones that will make sure that if you're in the wrong spot, it'll help you move to the other place. Guin spirits play a role in ensuring that spirits and energies that need to be moved on from one place to the next get taken to the other side. Cool. Guin. Go in Morbanora, 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 go in Morbanora. Thank you. For our final performance, we're going to do a crow dance. Can everyone, what's the noise that the crow makes in Australia? Everyone say wak wak? Okay, cool. So you'll hear wak wak in the song, but the name of the crow, actually this side of the Blue Mountains it's a raven, but for Australia we just call them crows. It's not like the one with the three eyes in Game of Thrones or anything like that. It's a raven that we'll call a crow, and then the name of this crow is Wagan. And the song translates to basically the crow and its beautiful black feathers. Waganga, 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 wak, 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 Waganga, 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 wak, 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 Waganga, Nangarana, Waganga, Nana Butchery, Waganga, Nangarana, Waganga, Nana Butchery, wak, 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 wak. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and to everyone watching online. Have a lovely day, travel safe, and look after each other, look after country. Thank you.
What a performance. Thank you so much, Tim, Brock and Yaron, and little Bub. The School Reconciliation Challenge provides students opportunities each year to increase their understanding of our mob, First Nations culture, as well as their understanding of reconciliation. We know that education is a key component of advancing reconciliation in this country and would like to thank the teachers for their dedication and commitment, without which this challenge wouldn't be a success. I would now like to take this opportunity to share a message from the Honourable Sarah Mitchell, Minister for Education, who has been a fab and great supporter in many school reconciliation challenge launches. Thank you.
I would like to begin by acknowledging the lands of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that everyone is gathering on here today. And I would specifically like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, on whose lands I am recording this message. I would like to extend this respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, either listening today or joining us at this wonderful event. Can I also take the opportunity to acknowledge my good friend and colleague, the Honourable Ben Franklin, MLC, Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, Tristan Tipps-Webster, the CEO of Reconciliation New South Wales, the Board of Reconciliation New South Wales, and the members of the art judging panel, and everybody else who has made this event possible today. I'm so disappointed that I can't join you in person for the launch of the 2022 Schools Reconciliation Challenge. And I'm really sad to be missing the opportunity to see and hear about the wonderful entries for this year's theme of From River to Sea, Our Island Home. This event is always one of my favourite events each and every year, and I really do wish that I could be there in person with you all. However, I am delighted to be able to share this message with you all today. Can I extend my warmest congratulations to all of the students who have taken part in this year's challenge. I think that this year's theme is a complex one. It draws on the relationship that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have with water, from both a survivability perspective, but also through to its really strong links with identity, with spirituality, and also connection to the land for their respective communities. I think by engaging with this year's theme, you've explored and celebrated both the knowledge of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and also their unique relationships with water. For me, living in a regional area myself and having visited many, many schools right across New South Wales in my time as Education Minister, I've seen firsthand how particularly the recent flooding events have completely devastated communities across New South Wales. We've seen schools, school staff, our students and families alike having to show remarkable resilience throughout these events. However, I think they also emphasise our need to develop a better understanding and take lessons from the land and water management practices of our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. In doing so, I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Reconciliation New South Wales for continuing to provide this unique opportunity for students right across primary and secondary schools in New South Wales and the ACT to learn about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives and also have the opportunity, by being part of the challenge, to reflect on what reconciliation means to them. I'd also like to acknowledge the wonderful resources that are made available to our schools for our students, our teachers, to support this incredibly exciting and important area of work. I'm very aware of our government's ongoing work towards a vision of true reconciliation, particularly in my perspective as a former Aboriginal Affairs Minister here in New South Wales, to make sure we create an inclusive workplace built on mutual respect, where Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, communities and cultures are not just recognised, but that they're valued and celebrated. And as part of this journey, we really do look forward to continuing to promote the work that Reconciliation New South Wales does to inform, to support and to inspire people to engage with reconciliation across all of our government departments. That, of course, includes the Department of Education. So we're now in the 13th year of the Reconciliation Challenge. Very pleased to be able to share that this year we've had 82 schools from right across New South Wales and the ACT registering for the challenge this year. We've had over 13,000 people engage with the online lessons and activities, that are available on the Schools Reconciliation Challenge website, and 663 art and writing entries were received this year from a total of 38 schools or educational settings across both New South Wales and the ACT. These numbers are fantastic. I think it's great to see so many people taking part and really demonstrate a strong desire by both students and teachers to engage in the process of reconciliation. This, of course, results in another amazing year for the challenge. Can I take this opportunity to extend my thanks also to the art and writing judging committees for overseeing what I am sure would have been an incredibly difficult task to identify this year's winners. But my biggest and final congratulations, of course, goes to all of the student finalists who are being recognised today. Please enjoy the event. Take a moment to reflect on this year's theme, the inspiring work created by both you and your peers, and the stories and messages of reconciliation that you can now take back to your school, to your families, and your communities.
We thank Minister Mitchell for launching and celebrating the Schools Reconciliation Challenge with us. And as you just heard from the Minister, we had a huge number of incredible submissions to select from this year, and you can see some of them just behind me now. So you can probably imagine how hard it was to select a winner and to select finalists from the amazing and powerful pieces of art and writing submitted to the challenge this year. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank this year's judging panel. Bumali artist Madison Gibbs, CEO of Wingaru Leslie Woodhouse, curator Barbara Dowse, National Trust Gallery Director Jane Waters, Reconciliation New South Wales Indigenous Board Member Nat Smith over here, artist Nicole Smead, the CEO of the Story Factory, Dr. Catherine Keenan, and storyteller and performer Nadi Simpson. An incredible judging panel, I think you'd agree. And so we thank all of them for their expertise and contribution to this year's challenge. Now, it's really important to remember that the challenge is not just about making beautiful art. It's equally important to listen to the meaning and the message that accompanies each artwork and the written entries as well. These messages are included in our 2022 Schools Reconciliation Challenge catalogue in your prize packs. The catalogue is also on the SRC website, so please go take a look and send it round to your friends and family. Today on the screen, we're highlighting the outstanding finalists' artworks, and we're very lucky to have some of our writing finalists here with us today who will share their work. So I would like to invite Maya Diaz from Loreto Normanhurst to share with us her finalist piece, Searching for the Spirit of Our Island Home. Thank you, Maya. Come on up.
Good afternoon, the Honourable Ms Mitchell, the Honourable Mr Franklin, Reconciliation New South Wales, fellow finalists and special guests. I'd like to thank Reconciliation New South Wales for hosting the Schools Challenge and allowing me to share my work with you all today. My name is Maya Dice and I am a Year 9 student at Loreto Normanhurst. I am currently studying Aboriginal Studies as an elective. Today I am presenting to you my poem, Writer's Reflection and Reconciliation Statement. The 2022 Schools Reconciliation Challenge theme, From River to Sea, Our Island Home, is the framework for my written piece, which explores the natural beauty and harmony in our island home. It invites all peoples to celebrate our waterways, skies and land through caring for and connecting to country. The theme highlights the physical value of water as the lifeblood for First Nations peoples for 65,000 years, and water's sacred ties to identity, spirituality, law, country, and culture. My written piece aims to spark conversation and reflection about the journey to reconciliation and draws analogy between unity and harmony in nature and the potential for unity and harmony in the Reconciliation Challenge. My words express gratitude for the gift of our island home, which sustains life and invites all peoples to unite as caretakers of country in the example of First Nations peoples. The whirling winds, the swirling seas, the pull of the tides, it draws us in. The gift of the sea, a wishing well of wonders, the sacred retreat where our wildlife seek refuge, the heart of our island where the waterways meet. Yet, without the soul of the island, it is incomplete. The peoples are the missing piece, the caretakers, custodians, curators, who conserve and care for country and all of nature's bounty. The wind whispers wisdom as it snakes through the island. If our native wildlife can live in harmony, how can we unite all peoples under the skies, around waterways, and on land, to reconcile our island and shape the future of our country together? The journey to reconciliation requires active acknowledgement of First Nations peoples' history in their telling of it, in their voice. This involves understanding and respecting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander diversity, culture, stories, and truth-telling. Reconciliation asks us to listen to and empower the voices and perspectives of First Nations peoples, and to give this voice an active and permanent place in our governing institutions, laws, and constitution. Reconciliation requires the engagement of all Australians in partnership with our First Nations peoples to ensure that their culture survives and thrives, that their voices are heard, and that First Nations history is recognised as our history and our shared national identity. For reconciliation to be meaningful, we must listen, educate ourselves, and actively commit to protecting the rights of First Nations peoples in support of their voice and how they express their needs and aspirations. At the most urgent national level, it requires us to all be intolerant of racism and to actively work together to eradicate it, in classrooms, on sporting fields, in the family home, in the workplace, and in all forms of social media. Reconciliation requires us to move beyond tokenistic approaches or mere words to actions that are directly responsive to the Indigenous voice and reflective of a country that is healing the wrongs of the past and working towards national unity. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya, for sharing your very heartfelt reflections with us. Your passion is very evident, and it's great to see some of our reconciled future leaders in front of us right now. Now we are also very excited to share a recording from students Tobias Burke, Priya Singh, Thomasay Tate, and Harper West from Eglinton Primary School. As part of their writing group, these students reflected upon the importance of water to First Nations people, as well as researched 6 significant events from Australia's history to illustrate the country's reconciliation journey through their poetic piece, The River Said to the Sea. Thank you.
Unadi prayer. We acknowledge the Wiradjuri people, the traditional owners of this land, at Eglinton Community, on which we live, learn, work and play, and make this recording today. We pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and the hopes of all the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. We promise to demonstrate Yinjamara by respecting the magpies, the frogs and the Wamba River, by honouring the continuing connection to the land, waters and culture. Thank you.
Uanadi Tamasi. Uanadi Harper.
Uanadi Tobias, the river said to the sea. I hear the whispers from ancient times, I hear the stories swim by, the river said to the sea. I've been here from the beginning of time when the rainbow serpent created me. I collect them, the stories of dreamtime and creation, the grateful ocean replied. I've seen the first people gather in their sacred places for thousands and thousands of tides. I am the sacred protector of the First Nations people. Many ancestors are near the flowing water, said the river. I've seen you offer water, red ochre, fish, and much more. By our culture, the Europeans still didn't consider. Now did they, River?
Captain Arthur Phillip arrived in 1788, the sea cried. He proved not to be our best mate, the regretful river replied. The captain in blue brought diseases, items and food we never knew. Aboriginal people were not used to this food. They were used to possum and roo.
Some tales I've heard are past mistakes. Their children got taken from their tents. Mothers were crying as their culture was dying. For 60 years they came and went. I hear the people gathering on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, the sea said to the river. A message of acknowledgement and respect they were trying to deliver. People screamed and shouted as they started to walk. I love to see the people showing their love and support.
I hear the word sorry, carried by the wind and commemorated with respect, once every year. Sorry Day encourages us to reflect on the Indigenous people being betrayed, and this we hold dear. We've heard the river talk to the sea for many, many years, whispers along the riverbanks and tears we've shed in fear. Our commitment lies with respect towards Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and our reconciliation journey continues towards a greater future that's unknown but grown. From river to sea, our island's home.
Aren't they amazing? What an amazing future we have with kids like that and all their incredible ideas. Thank you so much, Tobias, Priya, Tomasi and Harper for sharing your wonderful works with us. It is so uplifting to hear from today's students and know that our next generation is so committed to learning about and understanding and embracing First Nations peoples, culture and the principles of reconciliation. We look forward to walking together with you. It is a great pleasure to now welcome the Honourable Ben Franklin, MLC, Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, the Arts, Tourism and Regional Youth to come and share some words with us. Please welcome the Minister. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and it is wonderful to be here. I'll also start, as appropriate, by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land upon which we're all meeting today, the Gadigal people, and pay my respect to elders past and present, and to thank them for their custodianship of this land for 60,000 years, land that always was and always will be Aboriginal land. It was wonderful, wasn't it, to see the beautiful dancing, to hear the didgeridoo, to experience the singing that we heard before. And wasn't it brilliant to hear the singing in language, in the local Gadigal language? You know, one of the best things that I've had the privilege of doing while I've been Minister for Aboriginal Affairs was opening the first bilingual school in New South Wales this year, in Coffs Harbour. It's called the Gumbanya Gingana Freedom School. And this is a school where you can speak English or you can speak Gumbanya, which is the local Aboriginal language, equally. So sometimes they speak in English, sometimes they speak in Gumbanya. And that's just beautiful. And it also shows to me what reconciliation is genuinely all about. It's wonderful to be here at the museum, and I want to acknowledge Kim McKay. Kim is such a leader in this space, and the work that she's done through exhibitions like Unsettled, through galleries like Burra, which you should go and have a look at if you can, through the work that she and I are doing to ensure that sacred objects and remains are returned to country as quickly as they can, placed back in the grounds from where they came, is so important, and I want to acknowledge that. You know, we just heard in that beautiful presentation from, I think, Eglinton Public School, there was, I don't know if you heard it, but there was a little reference to the voice gathering on the Harbour Bridge. And some of the young people in the room may not know about that, but this was something that was really special and important to a lot of us older people here. Back in the year 2000, there was something called the People's Walk for Reconciliation. And that was a march across the Harbour Bridge where it was people gathering together and saying, you know what, we believe in reconciliation. We believe in Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians coming together and uniting as one, being reconciled together and walking together in partnership into the future. And I don't think at the time we knew how many people. We thought maybe there'd be a few thousand, maybe 10,000, maybe 20,000. 250,000 people walked over the Harbour Bridge that day 22 years ago, and I was incredibly proud to be one of them. And that's why this is so important. That's why what's happening here today is so profoundly significant. And the Schools Reconciliation Challenge exhibition, now in its 13th year, continues to live to those principles, to show each and every day that there is a better future ahead of us where Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians can work together in partnership and look to a better future. I'm just so excited about this competition, which enables schools and students across the state to encourage and to look at what the meaning and the history of reconciliation is in New South Wales. In particular, for me, this program is incredibly important for 3 reasons. The first is I'm the Minister for the Arts in this state, and I'm just blown away by the quality of the art and of the writing that we're experiencing. We've seen some of the extraordinary artworks. We've heard some of the beautiful poems and the beautiful stories. I know that we've got the next generation of artists and of authors with us in this room. The quality is simply outstanding, and the skill and the maturity that I've seen today witnessed are well beyond the years of their creators. So I want to congratulate you for that. The second thing is, as Minister for Regional Youth, I'm Minister for all of the young people who don't live in Sydney. And it's so wonderful to see so many entrants from regional areas, whether that's countries like Biripi or Bundjalung, which is where I'm from, Wanneroo or Yuin, and all over the state. It's wonderful to see young people from our regions really engaging in this fantastic competition. But of course, the most important thing for me is as Minister for Aboriginal Affairs. And I just can't overstate how important programs like this are for promoting reconciliation in this state. Instilling the idea of reconciliation and planting that seed for it to grow for the rest of their lives is so important and a really key foundational tenet to our strategy to further outcomes for Aboriginal communities, to closing the gap between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people, and to looking towards that future, a future working in genuine partnership together. So it's wonderful to be here. It's also my honour today to announce officially the finalist schools for the 2022 Reconciliation Challenge. I'm just so thrilled about the exhibition and the 22 schools which are exhibited, which have been selected, as the Minister for Education said, from such a significantly larger cohort. The 15 primary schools, the 7 high schools here, you are the best of the best. And I think we've seen the quality of the work. We know that anyone who wins today is a big and very well-deserving winner, but I know that anyone could because the quality is so high. In fact, a little birdie tells me this is one of the highest quality years ever in this challenge. So congratulations to you all. It's wonderful. I'll just go through them because I think it's important. From Biripi country, we've got St Joseph's Public School from Laurieton. From Bundjalung country, we've got the Living School. From Darawal country, we've got the Aquinas Catholic College, Peterborough School and Tullumbar Public School. From Darug country, we've got Chullora Public School, Ellison Public School, John Palmer Public School, the Nepean Creative Arts and Performing Arts High School, Oxley Park Public School and Surveyors Creek Public School. From Gadigal country, we've got International Grammar School, Newington College, Wyvern House and Redfern Jarjum College. From Guringai and Darug country, we've got Loreto Normanhurst. From Kiamai country, we've got Manly Vale and Manly West Public Schools. From Ngunnawal country, we've got Arana Steiner School. From Wiradjuri country, we've got Eglinton Public School, who we saw on the screen just before. From Wanneroo country, there's Singleton High School. Yagle country, there's Maclean Public School. Yuin country, we've got Maria High School. So as you can see, it is an extraordinary representation from across the state. And it really does make my heart burst with pride to just see the genuine commitment, the passion, the advocacy and the enthusiasm for reconciliation in this state from those incredible schools. So congratulations to all of the schools, to the students, to the teachers, to the families whose hard work and dedication has made all of this possible. I can't wait to congratulate the individual finalists and the winners today, and without any further ado, I'll hand back so we can all hear what we've been waiting for, and that is to see who's won. Thanks all for being here.
Thank you, Minister Franklin, for joining us in the launching and celebrating this very special event. As Minister Franklin has said, he is quite keen to present the certificates and the prize packs to all finalist students attending later today. Reconciliation New South Wales, as a small non-profit organisation, couldn't do this great work without help from its partners. The Australian Museum, who have supported the program through this wonderful launch event and are hosting the finalist artworks on their website for members of the public to view and enjoy. International Towers at Barangaroo, who will create a beautiful physical exhibition which will be able to visit in person during National Reconciliation Week in May-June 2023. Gosh, that's not that far away. The National Trust, who have provided free entry to the S.H. Irvine Gallery for the high school art finalists, and who will tour the school's Reconciliation Challenge exhibition to regional New South Wales in historic homes in Maitland, Yass, Lura and Cooma again next year. Win Araru, the Aboriginal Education for All Australians, who generously donated free online education subscriptions for every finalist primary school, as well as complimentary professional learning workshop for staff at those schools. Reconciliations Australia's Ngunnawal team, who provide incredible resources and curriculum guides supporting all schools and early learning services in Australia to foster a high level of knowledge and pride in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories, cultures and contributions. Bunamali Aboriginal Artists Cooperative and artist Madison Gibbs, who supported us to deliver an online art making webinar for registered SRC schools. Such beauty, eh? I had the pleasure of viewing 500 of them over a weekend. Finally, a huge thank you to Reconciliation New South Wales team, and an even bigger shout out to our online audience for attending today's event. We hope that you can join us again next year for the 2023 Schools Reconciliation Challenge. Make sure you watch our socials and website for next year's theme announcements in February 2023. Can't wait. And for our online audience, bye for now. Thank you.